There's one reason why men take women to a concert of Max Brooks' Violin Concerto. Or men take men, or what have you.
Your wife, does she go? Hey? Know what I mean? Nudge, say no more.
Oh, she sometimes goes, yes.
I bet she does.
You ready?
I'm ready. Classical Rebellion. I'm excited about this one tonight. And I'll tell you why. Can I just jump all over you?
Go ahead.
Just cut you right off. We do that a lot.
Go right ahead.
And you know what? If you've watched more than one of our videos, you may have noticed we never introduce ourselves. So Rochester Philharmonic. The reason I'm excited about Rochester is I think two of the finest people I've ever met are from the Rochester Philharmonic. And that would be their concertmaster, Juliana Athade.
But I've never had anything to do with the Rochester Philharmonic.
Neither have I. I just know Juliana and her husband, Eric Baer, their principal oboist, because they're part of the Mainly Mozart Festival Orchestra. In fact, they also came out for a chamber music concert where Eric played the bejesus out of the Mozart Oboe Quartet. It was fantastic, phenomenal. And we'll link, that's actually on YouTube, so we'll link to that recording.
Excellent.
Yeah. So the reason we're talking about Rochester is because of their concerts on October 17th and 19th.
The Hindemith Symphonic Metamorphosis.
Yes, the Bruch Violin Concerto.
Number 1.
Know what I mean? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Knowing smile. We'll get to that. And Tchaikovsky's Symphony Number 4.
Which is staggering.
It's Tchaikovsky's Symphony Number 4.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Now, this is not their opening concert. We missed our chance to call their mayor out to the opening concert, but we can still call the mayor out. That's what we do. We're calling on civic leaders to be leaders of the arts as well. And
Hashtag
Rochester Mayor on Instagram. So when the Rochester Mayor goes to the Rochester Philharmonic concert, take some pictures, Mr. Mayor.
This is
and post them on Instagram with the hashtag.
This is a fairly titanic concert. I mean,
it is.
The Hindemith piece is not vastly large, but he's all over the orchestra. I mean, he's throwing in everything in the kitchen and the kitchen sink in the first movement.
Yeah,
and he saves delicacy for later on, and which is interesting because the themes that he was using for the Symphonic Metamorphosis are themes that piano pieces that Weber wrote for a play by Gozzi on Turandot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually Turandot music. So,
okay.
Which has been...
I did not know that.
Set. I mean, Turandot has been used as a theme by, I believe, Busoni wrote some Turandot music.
Sure.
Puccini, of course. So Hindemith's getting his Turandot on.
Yeah.
And he wrote them as piano duets for him and his wife, and they're playing. And a lot of people really started to like it and said you should orchestrate this.
Right. And it is. I'm trying to think of. So theme and variation used to be a thing. It used to happen a lot, right?
It's a pretty standard form.
It's gone. But what's the most recent one that's entered the repertoire? There's this. Maybe the Fantasia on a theme by Thomas Tallis. By Vaughan Williams, the Rachmaninoff Rhapsody on the theme
of Paganini.
That's what is that 1940s?
No, it's earlier than that. It's about 1929 actually.
Okay, so where did all of the great theme and variation pieces go? Who's writing them now that we love?
Well,
I don't know. I'm sure someone is.
Who's writing? Are you sure? I'm not sure. Who has been writing standard forms in music? In the last. I don't know if you can call Steve Reich a theme and variation. Or John Adams with the repetitions of.
Right. But to take someone else's theme, because that was a standard practice, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it trickles down into popular forms too. I mean, there used to be such a thing in the ragtime era in popular music called travesty rags. Where you took a travesty rag, and you took themes from Il Trovatore and just syncopated them. There's that Love in Traumerei. It's a syncopated version, where you're varying in this case the variation is in the rhythm in the syncopations. So I don't know. That's a way down the list version of what variations can be.
Right.
But who's even doing that?
I don't know.
Nobody's saying.
But it was, Brahms wrote theme and variations. And Brahms, man, I've read a couple biographies on him. I don't know. I just decided to. Felt like I didn't know enough about Brahms. Brahms was not playing around. Brahms was not interested in being derivative. Brahms is a rigorous composer. And he composed a ton of theme and variations.
Well, Hindemith.
One of his first,
go ahead.
his first big hits was the variations on the theme by Haydn, I believe. Like his orchestration of it was what kind of established him as a serious composer.
Well, similarly, Hindemith is nothing if not rigorous as a composer. He's working tonalities, he's working rhythmic variations, he's working orchestral variations, within the orchestration as well. So the whole thing is like it's like one of those triple stirrer things that goes around a bread bowl, and it's just mixing constantly. I mean, the first movement of the theme and variations, is just unrelenting.
Yeah.
Of the symphonic metamorphosis, unrelenting.
Yeah. And written originally for American orchestras, for the precision of American orchestras. There was once upon a time, and Furtwängler criticized American orchestras for being too precise, but once upon a time, European conductors looked at American orchestras with envy because they were so precise, because they were so flawless.
Well, we're going to come back to orchestral precision on that theme in a minute.
Are we? Okay.
Yeah, as a variation on that theme.
Very good.
So moving on from Hindemith at Rochester
to Max Bruch.
Max Bruch.
There's one reason why men take women to a concert of Max Bruch's violin concerto. Or men take men, or what have you.
Your wife, does she go? Hey, know what I mean, nudge, say no more.
Oh, she sometimes goes, yes.
I bet she does.
I think you know what I'm talking. It's over the top romantic, man.
Absolutely, but in
incredible.
the freshest way.
Yeah.
That third movement of the bum pam ba-dum bum pa ba-dum bum pa ba-da-bum bum 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 pam ba-da-bum bum 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 bum. It bounces like Mendelssohn. Like Mendelssohn in his richest vein, like Mendelssohn at the beginning of the Italian Symphony. It's just it's sparkling music, but formally, the formal construction of it's so clear, but it's so rich.
Yeah,
it's just masterful. Bruch is a wonderful composer in that way.
He is. I would recommend, as an aside, checking out his string quintet. It's fantastic.
I haven't heard it.
It's worth listening to. And what else we're not really talking about artists, because it's not about us. It's not about artists necessarily. It's about the music.
The music. It's about the music. Although I will say, going into the Tchaikovsky. Okay.
Okay.
You want to talk about precision.
Okay.
And you want to talk about artists. I was refamiliarizing myself with that symphony, looking at various different recordings. There's a film of Leonard Bernstein in 1975 conducting it with the New York Philharmonic.
Got it.
Oh my goodness!
Really?
The what he gets by way of precision out of that orchestra in that performance is not to be believed. And I actually came away with it. I think in our last week when we were talking about Mahler 5, and I said, it's one of the most rewarding pieces of music. I have to say, based on that performance, if I could conduct like any symphony, but we're going to give you an orchestra to conduct any symphony you want to, but it might be the Tchaikovsky Fourth.
Okay.
What fun.
Yeah.
Now they call it Fate. It's got this program attached to it, Fate.
Yeah.
And Tchaikovsky said, well, if it's Fate, it's a pretty agreeable fate.
Yeah.
Because
that final concluding section is just nonstop, man.
Oh my goodness!
And as soon as he's gone to 11, right? And then you're like, okay, and then he goes to 13.
To 12.
Yeah,
13.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a convention in 19th century overtures. When the architectural proportions can be seen to be like here and then reducing and then you come to the pinnacle, the big finish, right? That the there's an accelerando that conductors will put onto it, so that it feels suddenly like it's rushing by one beat to a measure, and bum 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 one. That's what he does at the end of this symphony. It's like he's finishing it in the proportional contractions of a 19th century overture, and it is just barreling to the finish.
Yeah, it's thrilling, man.
It's thrilling. You got to go hear it. Rochester Mayor, you got to hear this. You have to hear this.
Please go and be a leader in the arts.
Oh, you won't regret it.
And don't forget the pizzicato section beforehand.
Which is such a Russian theme. The rest of it, you think, well, this is like Tchaikovsky at his most European. And then that third movement, the pizzicato movement, is such a Russian theme.
Yeah.
With it's like, it goes from major down to minor, back to major. It's got that Slavic something to it.
Sure. Yeah. So the second movement of the Tchaikovsky Fourth has like Russia's version of "Row Row Your Boat" or some song that every child grows up having their parents sing to them, and it's called, where'd it go? "In the Field Stood a Birch Tree." Let's take a listen. There you go. All right. Yeah, but
and that's an example of Tchaikovsky incorporating Russian folk elements into his music.
Right.
And Tchaikovsky was criticized throughout his career by the Sikhs, the Russian nationalist composers, for not being Russian enough. Well,
Yeah.
there's.
It seems like a false flag. A little bit like, we can't do what you're doing, so we can be really Russian.
There is almost no composer.
I love all of them, by the way.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But there's only one Tchaikovsky. Nobody else has that fluency of, the inevitability of his structure. It's like, it's perfect. It could only be this way. It just comes out perfect where he's concerned.
Right.
And it was an innate ability that he had.
Yeah. Well, he considered genius to not reside in the inspiration, but within the ability to fulfill the inspiration.
Right. It's 99% perspiration.
Yeah,
90% perspiration,
of course,
10%.
Yeah, right. But Tchaikovsky is the embodiment of that in many, many ways.
Yeah. But what a wonderful symphony. And you really have to get out to hear this. Yeah. It's just a joy.
It is. And it's,
it really is.
I've heard it at least once, maybe twice live.
Really? I've never heard it live. So
yeah, I think it's coming up this year in San Diego. So.
Oh. That'll be fun.
Go hear that one.
That will be fun. We'll see what Payare does with it.
Yeah. So, Rochester Mayor, hashtag Rochester Mayor. Post your pictures on Instagram. Let us know that you're leading the arts. If you want.
You can only help yourself. You'll only help yourself.
Yeah. And classical rebellion. Don to Dallas.
Oh, I know it. I was going to say something else about
go ahead.
that. Interestingly, and I don't know if they're aware of this or not. They might be, but the premiere of the British premiere of the Tchaikovsky Fourth Symphony took place in Liverpool with the Liverpool Philharmonic.
Okay.
I think in 1897 or so,
Sure.
and at that concert, a ceremony was held giving awards to Charles Stanford, Edvard Grieg, who couldn't be there, and Max Bruch.
Oh, really?
Was there.
All right.
So it sort of ties in with the Bruch Violin Concerto. So
yeah.
that's just a funny coincidence.
Yeah. Cool.